Well, first of all, can I start by thanking all of you for attending today's very important briefing session, and can I also thank you for all the hard work that you do every day on behalf of PCS members at a time where we have to accept things are more difficult than they've ever been before. And that's really where I want to start. The government's attacks on our members are unrelenting. We're still losing thousands of jobs each and every month across our part of the public sector. Pension contributions are due to rise for many of our members within the next few weeks. All of our members face a further cut in their living standards because of the government's 1% pay policy. And to add insult to injury for our members, they also face having all of their terms and conditions reviewed with a view to making them worse, and the facility time that you as reps get will be massively cut so that the government makes a very real attempt to completely undermine the union's ability to stand up for its members. I mean, that is a vicious onslaught by anybody's calculation. And what we've got to decide at these briefing sessions and with our members in the weeks ahead is what can we do about it. And to illustrate how bad it is, as I was arriving in work today, I had the radio on and I had to sit there listening to the Prime Minister of this country boasting on Radio 4 how he's making 50% cuts in civil service jobs in the Department for Education, and how this showed how well the government are handling taxpayers' money. What he doesn't seem to realise is those 50% cuts are our members' jobs, our members' families, and all the uncertainties that that brings. So we need to do something about it. Now, at the briefing session today, we're hoping you have a really deep and open discussion about the issues that we want to make progress on and the tactics that we will need to employ in order to focus and force the government to get around the negotiating table. And let's start with that. In the past, when the government's wanted to change things in the public sector, it has ensured that there's been negotiations between the employers and the unions about the effects of what it wants to do. The sad reality of where we are today is there are no negotiations whatsoever going on between PCS and the government about any of the issues that I have set out. They've told us what they intend to do and they think they're now going to be able to do it. So first and foremost, we've got to force them to get around the negotiating table. We've got to force them, by demonstrating our members are prepared to fight, that they must talk about all of the things that we face. And from our point of view, we want those negotiations to ensure that we can stop as much of the government's agenda as possible. Therefore, to do that, we've reached the conclusion that members need to vote for industrial action. Now, that raises a question for us. What are the other unions doing in the public sector? Many people will probably agree with our assessment that if all of the unions were taking action at the same time, it would be the most effective way of trying to stop the government's austerity package. However, we can't control what other unions do. We've written to them all, we're seeking meetings to try and talk about the future, but we've reached the conclusion that we must do something now. Because it's our jobs that are going now, our pay that is being cut now, and our terms and conditions that are being cut now. So PCS members need to demonstrate to the government that we're not just going to let them get away with it. That's why we're having a ballot and urging members to vote for discontinuous strike action and for action short of a strike. And that's the second big debate I think you need to have today, which is how much action are members going to be prepared to take, and what form should that action take to force the government around the negotiating table. The National Executive Committee's view is that we will need to publish in advance a number of days in which industrial action will take place to demonstrate that we are serious. But we also take the view that the form that action takes should be something that we do not announce until the last possible moment. And that's where you come in today, because we want to know what your views are about action that is longer than one day, shorter term walkouts, half-day strikes, how the work to rule could be done in such a way that it puts very real pressure on the employer. In other words, this is a serious industrial dispute that is about maximising the pressure on the employers, not just about having one-off protests. And we hope that your discussions, as I said earlier, are quite open and honest. And we hope that if we can get members to vote yes in the ballot in huge numbers, that we will then be able to have an industrial strategy that's different to what we've done before and puts more pressure on than we've been able to do in the past. And therefore, before I let the debate begin and let the rest of the briefing session commence, let me just leave you with this thought. Most people listening to this message will agree with the points I'm making, that the attacks are unfair, we've got to try and stop them. But what people will also really want to know is, do we have any chance of being successful? Is there any evidence that PCS taking action can force the employer to moderate what it's doing? Well, I think we have to look back over the last few months and say we do have some really good examples. Last summer, in both the Home Office and HMRC, members voted for strike action, and in both cases we were successful in getting extra jobs in both those government departments. Within the last few days, our members in DWP have delivered a resounding vote for industrial action to stop compulsory redundancies in the DWP. We were told by the employer that those redundancies must take place. I'm now happy to say that following our vote, the employer is around the negotiating table, and as I speak it looks as though all of those compulsory redundancies will be avoided. That's absolute proof that where members stand up and are prepared to fight, we can force the employer to moderate its agenda. That's what we now need to do with the government. Good luck in the briefing session today. Good luck with all of the meetings that we need to have with our members in the weeks ahead. And remember that if we stand together, deliver a resolute yes vote, and we have the tactics right, we can force the government backwards. Good luck and enjoy the rest of the briefing session.